we release the military from their barracks so fast?
Yeah, first of all, it should be understood that as a commander-in-chief, every president in our republic has some kind of ceremonial position, and even when he wears military fatigue, it is meant to be ceremonial. He does not turn himself or herself into a military person. While it is a trend that is increasingly becoming common in the region, that when the situation does not obtain democratically, you resort to certain unorthodox means, which I suspect Museveni, if Bobi Wine is going to win the next election in Uganda, is not going to be sworn in. Museveni will take over through the military and say he's doing his last term, and even insist that he would support and campaign for Bobi Wine in the subsequent election. Whether that election will find us still around is a serious problem. Now, when we come to Kenya, our president has been known to be militant and violent. A number of times, whenever he faces a challenge, he resorts to goons and other unorthodox ways of trying to resolve a problem. The danger, given the fact that there's been a lot of disquiet even among the military boys and girls in terms of certain promotions that have taken place, is a worrying trend that perhaps by the next general election, it is highly likely that the realignment at the military level in Kenya will have been done in a way that it seems almost to scare or scaremonger the rest of us who may not agree with President Ruto. It is a situation that we must call upon the government that military is not a solution in Kenya. We've had a peaceful transitions from President Kenyatta passing on and President Moi taking over for 24 years. Regardless of whatever people think or talk about President Moi was more disciplined in terms of following procedure. Even if it was the issue of detention without trial, that was provided by amendment of the Constitution, I think in 1968, to provide for detention without trial for anybody who is seen to be creating a risk to the stability of the nation. And therefore, he used the instruments of state according to the law, according to the Constitution. But what I'm getting and is worrying me is a clawback on the gains that we've been able to get out of the amendment of the Constitution and the 2010 Constitution that provides for certain freedoms without let. This is a situation that we should be worried, given the fact that I'm increasingly worried whether President Ruto is willing to cede that particular position. And it's going to be chaotic. Okay. Because any polls today, anybody would know that 60% of Kenyans or more, they say one term. Those who are talking of two term are people who are conveniently trying to allow themselves to be part of the stakeholders of the state. And finally, on this particular issue, why do presidents get so scared to the extent that they do not allow the competition to prevail? And yet, like Slu, she says she got 98% of the votes cast. And yet she did not allow the competition from the opposition. If the opposition was going to take away 2%, why are you worried? It should have made a ceremonial for her to win regardless of who is running in the opposition.
Right.
This is something that is worrying, and it's not only in East Africa. The entire continent is now getting through another phase of militarization, where either it's a coup d'etat or those in power, they want to use the force of the gun instead of the force of the vote.
And this could be seen, Kathy, as probably a general response to the rise in the Gen Z. And this is across that most leaders are now resorting to the military, militarization. We saw it in Kenya as well with the Gen Z protests. And even as we consider this, I think it's time for us to take a short break. When we come back, we'll look at that, the continuous and this